38 years old and I live in Lehigh. I'm fairly new at I'm a fairly new circles leader. I've been with circles for over a little over 7 months now, and was certified as a circles leader in December. I grew up in American Fork, Utah. I lived in a 2-story house in a cul-de-sac in an amazing neighborhood. My parents married in 1987 and are still married to this very day. Their marriage has always been has been a very happy one and something I've always admired. They only had 2 children, myself first, and a few years later, my little brother came along. Sorry, I gotta breathe for a second. I absolutely love my childhood. My dad raced motocross when we were little, and as my brother got bigger, he followed in our dad's footsteps. They put in for the archery hunt every year, so if we weren't in a motocross race, we were camping or hunting. No matter what we were doing, we were always doing it as a family. I graduated from Lehigh High School in 2006. I didn't graduate at the top of my class by any means, but I wasn't at the bottom either. After graduating, I continued to live at home with my parents and my little brother. At the age of 19, my high school sweetheart asked me to marry him, and right before my 20th birthday, I was married. My new husband and I looked at numerous houses or apartments, but then decided to look at some houses to possibly purchase. It didn't take too long before we found a little 2-bedroom, 1-bath fixer-upper right in our price range. We put in an offer, and before we knew it, we were homeowners. I thought my life was amazing, and for a couple years, it really was. To me, I was checking all the boxes and in the right order. Looking back, I now realize that my husband and I were still just children in a sense. We started drinking for fun, and soon turned into an everyday thing. We started partying, and pretty soon the parties started making their way to our house and on a regular basis. Soon friends of ours were bringing their friends that led to those friends bringing their friends, and so on and so on. What started out as just drinking eventually turned into so-and-so had a little of this, and over there so-and-so had a little of that. As you can guess, things got really out of control. I got out of control. We lost our home only after 3.5 years of living there. Sorry. After losing our house, I felt like a total loser. I felt like I'd let my entire family down, and I felt like I had messed my life up for the rest of my life. I had pretty much given up on myself completely. I continued to do multiple illegal substances, and using became my main focus. Now we had no money coming in, so we turned to various illegal ways to come up with money to feed our habits. I must not have been a very good criminal because I kept finding myself locked up in the Utah County Jail. During one of these many stays in jail, an officer came and pulled me out of my dorm. And told me I had a phone call. You usually don't get many phone calls in jail, so I just didn't know that it was going to be. It wasn't going to be anything good. Sorry. I got to this. I can't see. I got to this little room. They sat me down and handed me this outdated cordless phone. I put the phone to my ear, and I could just hear my mom crying hysterically. I listened for a few seconds, and then I finally said hello. My mom stopped crying just long enough to say, "Man, he's dead. Your brother's dead. He shot and killed himself." I still had 2 months of my life left of my sentence, and I was released on a furlough to attend my only sibling's funeral. During the rest of my time in jail, after my brother's passing, I really truly wanted to start making better choices and start living a life he would be proud of. I did just that. I got out, I stayed clean, I got a job, and started feeling like I was finally doing the right thing. I was doing good for about a year, and I found out I was pregnant. My pregnancy was completely normal. I was healthy, the baby was healthy, and at 38 weeks along, I went into labor naturally. During labor, I had a placental eruption, which caused my beautiful baby boy to suffocate and was stillborn. After that happened, I was in a very, very dark place and ended up in prison. I can't see. I began to use again to the point I was no longer me. Because of how deep I let myself get, I lost the support and trust of my entire family once again, and lost all the amazing friends I had in my corner. My brother's daughter, my niece, wanted nothing to do with me, and I was such a monster, I really didn't even care. I ran a race for Rosarito, Mexico for a year, and ended up in prison down there. When I returned home, my mom didn't know how to handle me, so she turned me into the police and I went to jail once again. That was what my life had become, and for me that still wasn't rock bottom. It wasn't until I found out that I was pregnant with my son Brixton that I had any want or need for a better life. The day after I found out I was pregnant, I reached out and got help and stayed clean throughout my entire pregnancy. He was born happy and healthy, and he is my angel. He saved my life 100%. I was clean and happy for 3 years after the birth of my son, but sadly I had a small relapse and ended up in jail for the last time. This time charged with DUI. This time was going to be my last time in Utah County Jail, regardless of my decisions afterwards. The judges were sick of seeing me in their courtrooms, and I don't blame them. My driver's license was suspended for 2 years. I was sentenced to serve 4 months in the jail to complete a drug program, and I was accepted in the recovery court program as well. This was my very last chance they were going to give me. Next time I get in trouble, the Utah State Prison is where I will end up. I didn't take that lightly. I had a son at home that needed me, that depended on me, and I was willing to do whatever it takes to create a safe and happy life for the both of us. At first, I was going to treatment because that is what I had to do. I was just sliding by doing bare minimum, but after attending treatment for some time, I really started to enjoy going, and for the first time, I started to open up my mind. I found myself actually applying to the skills that were being taught into my everyday life. I completed IOP in January, and I'm now in GOP. I will graduate treatment completely at the end of May. I'm very thankful for the therapists we have access to and the way they truly care about their clients. They have helped build me up and made me realize that I am not my past mistakes. I am who I strive to be. Transitioning from IOP to GOP gave me a lot more free time, and I wanted to fill that free time with a job. I knew it wasn't going to be easy. It was going to be a little difficult to find work because of my criminal background, and honestly, I didn't believe it was going to be as hard as it was. I can't tell you how many applications I filled out and turned in just to have them looked over or placed aside. I was trying different approaches with my resume, but to be honest, no matter what I did with it, it wasn't going to be that great. I had huge gaps in time in between jobs, and that obviously doesn't look good to employers. I felt I have many great skills, but for some reason I just didn't feel confident listing them on there. It just made me feel fake or something. It started to really weigh on me, and I was starting to feel like I was a lost cause. I was about to completely give up, or at least take a big break on the job hunt. But at that time, we were learning about resumes in class at circles. I started really paying attention to the do's and don'ts and how to go around the big gaps in times between jobs. I made a whole new resume, one that I was actually a little proud of, and that I felt a whole lot more confident using. I was filling out applications again with actual confidence that I didn't have before, and then I got a call from the GM at Fabulous Freddy's, a job I really wanted and knew I'd be amazing at. I went to the interview and walked out feeling like I killed it. I got a call 2 days later with a job offer. I cannot begin to tell you how incredibly happy and excited I felt at that moment. I'm very proud to say that I've been employed there for almost 3 months now. Like I said before, my driver's license was suspended for 2 years. I got a UTA card and relied on the bus or front runner from place to place. I live in Lehigh, and pretty much every place I had to go to was either in Orem or Provo. I didn't really mind riding the bus or the front runner, but because I lived somewhat far away from all the places I had to go, it was so incredibly time-consuming. Because of how well I had been doing in treatment, and because of how much I had shown improvement in recovery court, the judge allowed me to get my driver's license back early. On March 3rd, I went into the driver's license division, got my picture taken, took the written and road test, and walked out with a very legal driver's license. I started saving money to get a vehicle. I had a little, and knew it was going to be some time before I would actually be back on the road again. One night my parents asked me to come and have a talk with them. I
I was completely shocked and surprised when he told me they would like to help me out with the loan to get a vehicle of my own. That was a moment I will never forget, not because of what they were offering me, but because that was the moment I knew that some real trust had been restored between us, and they believed that I was in a real, actual good place in my life. My family means absolutely everything to me, and knowing that they support and believe in me makes me trust in myself, and I feel like I have real worth again. Knowing my son and I are still living under the same roof, and I'm lucky enough to get this one last chance to be able to watch him grow into the man he's going to become and be by his side every step of the way gives me such purpose in this world. Knowing that people out there look at me and see someone that is growing and showing real improvement in several areas of my life gives me hope for myself that I lost during all the years of drugs, jail, and grief. I know I have a long way to go before I can check all the boxes, and I probably will never be able to check some of the same boxes I once had. But being successful doesn't mean the same thing as it once did so many years ago. I know I have a whole lot new list, I now have a new list of boxes, and a couple of them have already been marked. I'm a new me, a better me, and I cannot wait to see what happens in the future. No matter what happens, I know that I will give it my all, and I know it is up to me to be successful in my own story. Thank you.